Hi there, I'm Dr. Julia Sen, psychologist, and I'm here for you today to ask me anything on parenting. I'm just going to invite in my friend and colleague, Stephanie, so we can navigate this with you together. Just give me 1 second here. And let me see where she is. Hopefully coming in. There we go. Perfect. All right. So Stephanie should be joining any moment. There she is. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome, welcome, Steph. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good.
All right, excellent. Okay, so we are just getting started, and we will be on for half an hour as usual. This will be the last one in June, and I may do some again, and I will let you guys all know if we continue to offer these. But for right now, let's see if there are any questions as people start to show up. And in the meanwhile, I believe, Stephanie, you have some emailed questions from parents in the
Yes.
community.
Yes. So I put it out there a little bit more this week. We got some email questions. We got a few questions that came in from social, which is awesome. The first question has to do with a child who is in senior kindergarten. And sorry, I'm just reading my email here. It says, my child doesn't like to share. How do I handle this?
Totally. I'm just going to put my volume up a bit. There we go. All right. My child doesn't, do you know the age? Did they say the age of the child?
Senior kindergarten. So I think that's like 5?
Totally. Absolutely.
5, 6.
So, yeah, absolutely. So sharing is, it's for a young child, sharing can be very challenging, right? It can feel a bit threatening. It can feel scary to kind of share, because what if I don't get it back, right?
Right.
What if they take my toy? What if they, don't include me? So there's a whole bunch of things going on in a child's mind, especially at that age, of the what if something happens where I don't have any more control, right? And so what we want to be doing is role modeling sharing at home, and letting them sort of see how when we share, it's all okay, right? So we're kind of bringing a safety back in, so showing that nothing bad happens when we share. If in fact it feels good to share, and we're going to role model that as much as we can. And then when the child is interacting with somebody, so if you have a play date over, if they have a sibling, and you can encourage sharing, it's not, make sure that you're really conscious of your tone, because what happens is we kind of shame them into, come on, Stephanie, share, right? Like, why aren't you sharing? Stephanie, it's almost like embarrassing if it's a play date and the other parent is
Yeah.
there, and your child's not sharing, is you get this thing activated in you, like, yeah, exactly, like, oh no, this is so
Yeah.
embarrassing. And then we bring on that embarrassed tone, and then of course it becomes more urgent, and then the child is absolutely not going to share because they're hearing your urgent, fearful, embarrassed energy, which actually just makes them get more like, no, I'm not doing this, because they're not feeling comfortable. So instead, we want to be conscious of, wow, okay, I just got activated there. I'm kind of feeling embarrassed. Let me take a moment and just take a breath and kind of like allow myself to regroup. They're kids. It's okay. Hopefully this other parent's not judging. And even if they are, I can't control that right now. So let me focus on my child and say, hey, I know this is really hard for you to share that, or I know you really want to still be playing with that. This other child really wants to play right now. Do you think that we could give that to them right now? We'll play with this and then we'll get it back. Would that be okay? And just start to encourage them to do it. If they really just can't, right? Like they're just, something is feeling so overwhelming to them that if they can't do that, then we don't want to push it, because that's going to lead to a huge tantrum
Yeah.
and all of that. It's just not worth trying to push this lesson of sharing in that moment. And what I would do then is later that night I would chat with them and go, hey, before when we were playing with whoever, we wanted you to share and you just couldn't, what was happening? Like, what was going on? And just start to have a conversation to try to get under it, because maybe your child shared with this child before and didn't get it back. Maybe something broke and we didn't know. Like there could be something underlying if they're being particularly resistant. So with everything I say, always give our children the benefit of the doubt first. Have that tone, find out what's going on, and then help them, guide to where they need to go. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's a really good point. And I don't know how many parents actually take that time to do that, like checking in with the child to say like what's going on. And because you're right, there could be a reason. Maybe they were in a situation where, yeah, they didn't get their toy back, or maybe somebody broke it, or who knows? And maybe that's where the resistance is coming from. So totally. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Awesome.
So yeah, we can sort of taking that time out. Sometimes it's hard just because there's so much going on in life, and we're just exhausted by end of day. So if it's not a fit for you to do it at the end of day, you can do it on the weekend. It's not really it has to be addressed that day or that moment, right? So give yourself kind of a break there. If you're too tired to deal with it tonight, that's okay. Find a moment though, and like schedule it for yourself. You got to remember to do that, and then do it at kind of a quiet time when things are a bit more chill, maybe on the weekend, like I said. So.
Yeah, that makes a difference, I think, too. The timing that you choose to have the conversations, for sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes, for me and the child, right?
Yeah.
So both
right.
of us.
Yeah.
100%. So I see we have some of us who joined us. If you would like to ask a question, please, there's a little box at the bottom with a question mark. You just click that, and then you can type in your question for me, and it'll pop up for me, and then I can respond to you. So while you're Elena Palmer Home Services, everybody who's here today, if you would like to pop in a question, please go ahead in the question mark. And while you're doing that, we have some more email questions that came in that Stephanie will ask.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm just going to take a look at my email. Okay. We have a question from a parent. Not so much a question, more of a comment. My child is not very social.
Okay.
9 years old, not very social. So I guess out in situations and just not engaging and not wanting to engage, and just how worried should a parent be in that situation? What should they be looking for? Is there anything that they should be doing for the child? Just to see what's kind of happening there.
Okay, for sure. So we said 9, right? They're 9?
Yes.
With a 9-year-old who's not that social, there's a chance that they're probably on the scale of introversion, extroversion, more towards introversion. Not necessarily, but there's a chance. So first thing would be to sort of think about that. Like, does your child tend to get overstimulated in a lot of social situations and sort of just needs to retreat a little bit? That could be what's happening. It could be that they've over-socialized, they've been at school all day, they just need to sort of step out of it. And so it seems like they're not being social because they're kind of done, but really they've been in energy all day. So I'm at school, I'm an introvert, I'm not necessarily chatting with my friends, but I'm in an energy, right? There's tons of people, there's lots of action at school. That can feel like a lot. And so when I get home, a parent might be like, oh, well, who's your friend? Let's have them over for a play date. And they're just like, no, I don't. I like, no, right? I'm good to read my book. I'm fine. And so rather than sort of, oh, what's wrong with this child, recognize that they're just overwhelmed. They need that space. And you can set up times with people to kind of like introduce them to people and socializing, knowing where they're at. So like a weekend play date would be better for them. Asking if there's one person that you really like at school, maybe we can set that up, right? And that's where I would start to guide them to socialize a bit more and connect more with people that way. Now there could be a social anxiety. So the other thing is just, again, at a sort of good time when we're sort of in a sort of chill place, again, maybe on the weekend, sitting down and saying, hey, I noticed that you're not socializing a lot. Did something happen, right? Because it's possible somebody hurt them, rejected them, said something, so they are retreating and getting a little anxious of socializing, because they're worried they're going to be hurt again, and they don't know how to navigate that. So when we find out from them, like, and ask them, is it possible? And if you have a time when you yourself were hurt or something from your childhood where you can say, hey, when I was a kid, I remember one time this happened, right? I felt really sad or hurt, or I wanted to run away, you know, so they're like, oh, it normalizes that we all feel like this. Then they're more prone to tell you, and then you can help them comfort, right? So the key to that is we can't save our children from what other people will do or say. We can help them soothe and comfort. And say, that sounds really hard, that would feel really yucky, you know, and maybe we can go and talk to them depending on who it is, or maybe we can look at, you know, some other people to connect to. So it doesn't become all people are scary, but I know how to handle it, and then I can go back in there.
Yeah, that makes sense. With regards to the introversion, extroversion, so if a child is wherever they are as a child on the scale, does it tend to stay the same as they grow into an adult, or does it fluctuate?
That's a great question. Definitely it changes up a little bit in terms of how much I can handle energetically. So I feel like, you know, university years, everybody kind of has this greater capacity to take in the big energies and get out there and trial things, because there's a new level of confidence and independence that's come out. So that age seems to be an area where you see more. It's like, no, I was extroverted, but really we're just making connections. It doesn't actually mean we're more extroverted. It just means we were willing and probably found people that we connected to better. So we were able to stay in that energy more. So you really want to look at, am I truly like turning into an extrovert if I was an introvert? I've not seen that happen. Within introversion, can I shift? For sure. Within extroversion, can I shift? For sure. But the flipping over entirely, because it's not socializing. Remember, it's, do I need space to recharge, or do I recharge by being with people?
Okay.
That's the difference.
That's a big difference. Okay. Okay. Good. Awesome.
So for anyone who else has joined, some more of us joined us, welcome. You can type in, there's a button at the bottom with a question mark. You can type in a question for me if you have one, or just listen as we answer some questions that were provided to us by email.
Yes. So actually that question that we just answered kind of leads into another question that came in. Let me see. My son was not invited to a birthday party, and he was left feeling really confused and rejected. So how, as a parent, do you manage that?
Totally. First of all, that's so hard, right? We just want everybody to be included, and it's so hard when our child is not included like that, right? So the first part is soothe yourself. Actually, like, take a moment for yourself to recognize that you're feeling the sadness for your child, and catch yourself if you're turning into outrage, right, for your child, because the outrage isn't going to help your child. Right. I get it. You know, like, what's with this kid? And why wouldn't they invite them? And, you know, like, all of that comes up. I get it. And if your child hears that, it's not going to help them, because right in that moment, they're just sad. They're not usually mad. Right. So we want to go in and empathize with that. That would feel yucky. That would hurt. I get that, you know, and let's look and see, you know, you can look at some solutions for that. We can see if something was missed, right? You know, you could do a little bit of figuring it out, sleuthing it out, you know, with them. But if they're like, no, I know they didn't invite me, like on purpose or whatever, then just say, yeah, you know what, sometimes some people aren't going to invite us, and that's really hard, and we're still okay. And then give them a hug. And honestly, there's no answer. Like, there is no solution. There's no fact. There's no anything. It's just simply empathy. And soothing until their shoulders drop, and then they feel comforted, and then come back, they recover.
Okay.
Our biggest issue, Stephanie, is that we tend to want to make them better immediately and fix it.
Yeah.
And that's not what they need when there is no real answer. Right? There's no really good answer why that first person didn't invite us. We're not gonna be able to figure it out unless, in the first 5 minutes we can figure it out. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
That totally makes sense. And I know, like, obviously being a parent, like when things happen and your child is rejected or whatever the situation is, there can be a lot that comes up as a parent. Like, and would it be, like you mentioned, outrage? So if a parent is feeling outraged by the fact that their child was excluded, how much of that is the parent's wound? And how much of that is...
Great question. Great question.
I cut out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
How much
is the parents?
Yeah. How much of it is a wound that maybe the parent experienced as a child, and how much of it is what's happening today?
Yeah. Great question. Obviously, it's going to depend on the person.
Yeah.
However, I will, say, to acknowledge that if I'm getting really activated and really outraged, and it feels like really big and it feels personal, I know they're your child, and that level of activation is telling me that there's probably something that's from my life that's being triggered in this moment. So let me allow myself that kind of like compassion for myself. And recognize, like, wow, this is hard. This is reminding me of when I was a little kid and how awful that was. And I never want my child to go through that. So now I'm getting into protective mama bear mode or daddy bear mode, So this is the part where I want you to, again, step away, soothe you first, have compassion for you, recognize that you didn't have the resources to comfort yourself then because you were a kid. And let's make that different for our child. Right? By helping them learn to soothe through empathy and that kind of kindness and comfort.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much that comes up, I feel like, when you become a parent.
Totally. So I will say that Snow Girls has asked a question. So thank you for your question. So it says, my daughter is 12 and I'm having a really hard time dealing with her many different emotions. How can I be there for her? Beautiful question. Thank you for that. And such an important one. So our children, yes, it's beautiful that she has so many emotions. I'm empathizing with you, though. I get that can be overwhelming. The beautiful part about emotions is that you have to look at it like a big circle, right? So when they feel big joy, they'll also feel big sadness or big anger. It kind of goes like this. So if we start to shut them down and not tolerate the bigger, more difficult emotions, unfortunately, everything squishes down. Right. So we want to be conscious of that. So I love that you're asking how I can be there for her. Such a great question. So the goal there is to, similarly to what I just answered, step back when it's overwhelming, right? As long as you're safe, right? And whatever's happening, there's not a 911 situation going on. As long as you're safe, step back for a moment and take like literally a few minutes to soothe you. It's a lot, right? Big emotions are a lot. Even honestly, big joyful emotions are a lot. So it's really about taking a step out, just saying, I hear you. I know you're going through something right now. I'm coming back in just a few minutes, and literally remove yourself. Come and soothe and comfort. So breathe in. I would do a 4, 7, 8 breath. The breath work is really important to soothe and regulate our system when we're feeling overwhelmed. So it would be a 4-second inhale through the nose, 7-second holding of the breath, and an 8-second release of the breath through the mouth and exhale. And you repeat that 3 times or so. And that starts to soothe and comfort your system. And be conscious of dropping your shoulder so that you kind of relax your physiology. Then you'll be able to come back to their emotions. And then you'll be able to have the voice that is soothing for them. Right. So if I'm overwhelmed by them and I'm like, oh my God, okay, and you start to try to soothe and comfort them, you're probably coming in with a bit of a heightened voice, or like a non-compassionate voice comes out, because you yourself are doing this, right? Your shoulders are up, you're tight, and your voice changes. So you can't be as warm sounding. So depending on what the situation is, you can empathize with them once you've soothed yourself. So you come and say, I know this is really hard. I can see you're feeling really, really angry right now. I totally get what, so whatever's happening, you're going to empathize, and they start to come down and match us, right? So I, as a parent, have power over my child, and we can use that for good or not, right? So when we take the time to soothe ourselves first, just for a couple minutes, we come back, they start resonating to us as we stay in this kind of space. That's the key here for the big emotions, right? Because we are teaching them to regulate via us, right? We're not going to say, you've got to calm down. That's not helpful, right? That can be triggering in itself, right? For people to say, calm down, right? So we want to instead be able to go, I get it. It's really hard right now. You might have to raise your voice for them to hear you, because they're so, in their emotion. But that's not yelling or with a tone of anger or anything. It's just a straight up, you can't hear me? Hey, I get this. This is so hard, I know. Do you hear my voice is louder? But it's not, oh my God, I get this, I know. Right? That is where you're gonna lose them completely. The second one that I did. And I will do the second one if I don't step away for a moment and just literally do that breath and drop my shoulders. Yeah. So, Snow Girls, I hope I answered that for you, and that made sense for you. If not, you can type in some more and ask me for clarification.
That was a good question. Yeah, I noticed that I'm having to deal with more of that too, and I guess it's the age. Mine's 11, same kind of thing, just having to but it's absolutely true. So before I learned how to regulate myself, I would be activated by the situation myself, and then it blows up, right? So it's true, you really got to step back, calm yourself down first, so that you're able to walk into the situation and you're just like a rock. You're just there for support. You got them. You're not making anything any more heightened than it already is. And then sometimes I have to, if she's just not responsive and just doesn't want to hear it, okay, I just give her space. Okay. And then I'll come back later and kind of check in again.
That's perfect. Make sure they know you're not abandoning them. Right? So I get it. You need some time. I'm over here. Let me know when you're ready. So there's clarity that you're not just dismissing, right? So because they interpret quickly that they're being rejected by us. So we want to be very, very certain that we're letting them know, I'm not. I could see that you just need a little more time right now. I'm right here. Right. So wonderful. Snow Girls gave me a thumbs up. So thank you. Great. Wonderful. Okay. If anybody else has any more questions, you type it into the little question mark at the bottom, and I can address another question, or as we're waiting, we can do, is there any more email questions?
I do. I have one more emailed question.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm looking at I'm going to need glasses soon, I think. Okay. I want my child to sign up, or I want to sign up my child for swimming lessons because it's an important life skill. But my child has always been afraid of water, and they're afraid of swimming. The age is 4. So would you continue to try to get them into swimming lessons, or would you just back right off and just be like, I guess this is not happening? How would you handle that?
So for something like a piano lesson, I may back off and just offer another instrument or something like that. But for swimming, it is a really important skill to have for safety purposes. So especially if you're living in Ontario or anywhere near water, the way we do, then it is important to know, right? So the goal, though, won't be, drop them in the deep end, right? It will be
See ya.
exactly, is to
Yeah.
ease them in. And if you have the resources to be able to go in with them, or to find an instructor for a bit, like just for a short time for one-on-one, to kind of ease them into the water so that they feel comfortable, that would be great. If those resources aren't there, then same thing, like just giving them little bits. Right. So if you joined a big huge swim class, there's tons of kids and they're just kind of like sitting on the edge, and now it's your turn and they don't want to go in, right? You probably couldn't even get them to that point, to be honest. Right? So it's really, let's just do a little bit at a time. Yeah. Like with my older daughter, who by the way now is Bronze Cross, so she screamed bloody murder every single time we went near a pool, right? It was, I mean, truly, we thought we were torturing her. And similarly, I felt the skill was important. So one toe at a time, we were literally putting her in to any pools that we could get to, right? So whenever we had access to a pool, we would make sure we went in, hold her securely so she feels it. At 4 years old, yeah, you can still hold them and securely kind of just enter. Right. So whichever parent they feel most comforted by, that's the one to go in with. Right. But again, comes back to us guys, our energy. If I'm terrified or feel bad, right, they're going to pick up on that energy. So instead, no, hey, this needs to happen. It's really important. I'm going to hold you. I got you. I get you're scared. Validate that. And I won't let anything happen to you. Right. And really show them that you have them. I hold them, you can't see me, but I'm like literally showing, like hold them so they feel safe.
Yeah.
We don't want to dangle them in there and then drop them or take risks like that. That's not, it's not really helpful. I mean, some people do that, but I was thrown in and by the instructor at the school I was at, and I just dropped to the bottom of the pool. They dropped me in the deep end. I don't know why. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And I just went right down. And I mean, I'm laughing now, but because I'm alive. But it was terrifying. And
for sure.
Like the instructor ultimately just dove in to get me because I wasn't coming up. And I don't know what was going on for me. But so let's not do that, right?
Yeah, no, that's a little bit traumatizing. Yeah.
So so easing them in where we can would be great. Oh, another question popped up. Back to the 12-year-old. LOL. Yes, perfect. Snow girls. She never seems to want to be around me or her sisters. She goes to her room or hangs with friends, and when around us, we get nothing but attitude. Is this normal? Feel like I have done something wrong. Totally get it, Snow girl. Did you do something wrong? Honestly, I have no idea, but it's easy to check it out, right? And the goal for me, whenever I call parents out on what they're doing, is to give you back control. Right? It's not to blame. We are human. We're learning this parenting thing. We're not supposed to know. Every stage is different. So we think we got the hang of it, and all of a sudden, especially at that age, everything changes. And so give yourself compassion first. The whole idea that, oh yeah, they're going through attitude, certainly there's going to be some hormonal changes that are definitely leading them to have an edge about them that we have to be a bit forgiving of, but it doesn't mean they can walk around and treat us, like garbage or that kind of idea. The goal there is respecting that she may be a little more on the introverted side and has found a comfort with these particular friends is possible. Right. She may feel in her home environment that there's too many demands of her and it's overwhelming. And the friends are kind of like the safe zone. Right. She may not be similar to her siblings. I don't know. Right. Actually, is it a she? Am I making an assumption here? Yeah, she.
Yes, daughter.
Yeah. So she, and that's okay. Our children, they didn't choose each other as siblings. They kind of had no choice. So sometimes we are not going to be similar to our siblings. And so that's why we don't want to hang out. So there's just simply could be that, or there could be something a little more underlying where she doesn't feel like she belongs, doesn't feel included, doesn't feel understood. In those situations, I would separately sit with her, and I would, like again, at a more chill time, and just say, hey, I've noticed this. I'm just checking it out. Like, what's going on? Is there anything that we're doing or I'm doing that I can help or change or shift, right? Because I don't realize it if I'm doing it. So when we start to own it, our children start to feel safe enough to tell us, and then we can repair it, right? So again, someone goes, I don't know if there's anything you've done, but it's all repairable. It doesn't matter. We're human. We all are making mistakes over and over and over again with our kids. That is fine. It will happen. It's more about, are you willing to look inward and say, hey, maybe I contributed to this? And if I did, I didn't mean to. I didn't do it on purpose. Let me check it out with them that way, gently, right? And see. And at that age, the only thing I'll add to that is there's a chance that she won't immediately trust that you mean it. It's almost like they're wondering if you're tricking them, right? So like you could say that. Say, this is genuinely me trying to figure this out because I'm not sure. She still may not feel safe. That's okay. Wait a little while and say it again. And just let her know you really want to connect with her. You really want to spend time with her. And that's why you're asking. So that she knows she's wanted. Yeah. And there's one more thing coming up for me around that, which is ask yourself if she feels respected for who she is in your family. Because if she's feeling like the black sheep, there's a really good chance that she's not going to feel seen and heard, and the other people are her people, and then she's going to run away and give you attitude because there's a hurt inside. Yeah. I got another thumbs up from her. Thank you. Okay, good. I'm glad I addressed it. All right, good.
I'm going to take all that advice too for myself. Because, sounds like our daughters are similar. Yeah. It's such a hard age, that age, like the 11, 12, the tween, where they're changing. And like, especially for me, I only have one. And it was like we were like this. And then all of a sudden it started like loosening. And I'm like, what?
Totally.
Yeah.
And remember, they are supposed to start to be like independent. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's really, I don't want them to be running from me. I want them to be choosing to leave and know that I'm their safe space.
Yes.
That's the key to it all.
Those are really good questions.
Yeah, really, really good questions.
Really good questions.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Exactly. Cool. Amazing. There's a few more people on. Does anybody else have any questions before we start wrapping up today? If you do, you just pop it into that little question mark at the bottom of the page, and I can address one more. There's no more email, right? Questions?
No more email. No, not today. No.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
This is good.
Yeah,
this is really good.
A lot. Thank you, Snow Girls, for your beautiful questions, and for everybody who emailed in when you listened to the recording. Hopefully I was able to address your questions as well. So, okay, wonderful. So I really, thank you, Elena. Appreciate that. And actually, Elena was with me at the pool. She's a friend of mine. She was with me at the pool when I was thrown in. Thank you, Snow Girls. Thank you for your great questions and for wanting to, do right by your kids and asking like what you can do. I love that, because that's the reality. When we own it, we can make the changes, and that's what matters. So
totally.
Yeah, beautiful.
Totally. I feel like I could sit here for 5 hours with a bunch of questions, but I know we have to end it at some point. But yeah, next time we'll get into a bit more. And you did mention about like the energy too, the energy that you're bringing to your parenting, and that your kids can sense that. So I think that in itself is like a fantastic thing to talk about next time. Because I know I didn't realize as much as that they feel and that they sense. So sorry, I could talk forever. Yeah, I'm good. I'm done.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, we will be posting this recording on Instagram, and you can also follow me on my YouTube channel where I post every week something related to usually parenting, or if not, just about ourselves and our own inner child. So please go over there and subscribe, where you can see me regularly, and of course Instagram here, and also or TikTok. I started on TikTok too. So, so yeah. So
Yeah.
we're at Dr. Julia Sen for those ones. So I see a few people have joined just now. Unfortunately, I am wrapping up. Today was a half an hour session from 12 to 12:30. So please do go back, and we will have this video posted shortly. Right, Steph?
I'll do it. Yeah, shortly.
Okay.
I'll do it soon. And thank you so much, Dr. Julia, for doing this, for taking the time and speaking to, you know, the parents that have questions. And I think it's nice to have this resource. It's really nice to have this resource and someone
Totally.
who gets it. Yeah.
Well, I love anyone who wants to take ownership of their parenting. You guys are awesome, awesome, awesome. Melissa, fun first time joining. Yay. Thank you for joining. And again, watch the recording, guys, if you just joined recently near the end. And I would love to see you on social. And next time I do this, I'll let you know.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Take
Thanks, Dr.
care.
Julia.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.